Well, hello. And hello, everybody. Welcome to We're Offended, You're Offended. I'm Kim. That's Tyler down there today. And our very special guest, Rob Noerr, which you can't see, but he is Tyler's doppelganger. If you can actually see Tyler, it's really weird. But anyway,
I look smogged him. He's out already. He's been look smogged.
Right? Yeah. He's like, peace. If you are new here, hi, hello, welcome. Don't forget to hit the little subscribe button down below. And thank you for clicking on the little button to come sit with us and listen to the craziness going on in the world today. So, Rob, how are you? Who are you? Tell everybody who you are.
What a philosophical. My name's Rob Noerr. I'm from the same rural area in sort of northwest Pennsylvania. I've lived within 20 minutes my entire life. I grew up in a blue-collar area. Wasn't very good at all the cool things my redneck friends do, like not a good handyman, can't work on cars and stuff like that. Went to college, did policy debate in college, got pretty good, qualified for the national championship tournament, then became a coach, which helped win a national championship at the novice level. Then ran for Congress in 2019 in a special election in District 12 here in Pennsylvania, and did a lot of home health care with adults with developmental disabilities. I consider myself a populist conservative. I would guess you could say I'm sort of on the Trump train, although I have some disagreements with him. And I think my central feeling is I feel that a bunch of establishment people, that the face of which is the Democratic Party and left-wing politicians in the West, want to erase people that they see as the biggest stumbling block to them, which is traditionally people in Western countries like Canada and the United States that are sort of the indigenous populations, white Christians, etc. And so I fight against that because I feel they're intentionally trying to silence and wipe us out.
I would definitely agree with that. I did not. So debating, hey?
I did it. Yes. I love debate.
It's weird. I never would have guessed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But health, go ahead.
Yeah. So debate, I started off, I liked arguing about like sports and shit just with my friends growing up. And I took this course in college debate, like my first semester there. And for the final, either had to go to this debate tournament or write like a paper. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'll go to this debate tournament. I was a drunk at the time. So the day of the tournament, I called the coach and was like, or who was my professor, was like, I'm not going to make it. Something came up. And he literally drove to my apartment. And I'm all hungover and he's beating on the door. He's like, come on, get your shit. You're going. And so I went, and it was a special division called Rookie. And I took first place at that tournament. And I thought, I'm like the greatest debater ever. I'm just going to come in and crush everyone. And then the first novice tournament I went to, I won one round, got my ass kicked. And so, but that was a good moment for me because I was hooked, and losing, I don't mind losing. Losing motivates me to get better. So I got hooked on it. And I've been doing it ever since in the online space after collegiate debate. So.
Well, you're definitely good at it. I was more surprised about the healthcare thing.
Yeah. Well, for that, so I think in Canada, like you all have like bigger government programs and what have. As much as I bitch about the government, I went to a state school, Clarion University, and then they hired me as the assistant debate coach. So technically I was an employee of the state. I was getting paid for all the complaining I do about the size of the state. And in 2008, I believe it was, I went into work one day and the budget in Pennsylvania didn't pass. And so I went in and they were like, yeah, you're out, man. Like there's no money. And so I pick up the newspaper and I put my name in for two jobs that were there locally. One was to be a security guard and the other was to do home health care with adults with like autism. And I was like, I'll call it, but I'm not qualified. And they called me in like 5 minutes. They're like, when can you start? I was like, today. They're like, okay, we got a training. Come in now. And that was it. I went in and I sort of fell in love with it because I found that no one really gave a shit about most of the people at every level, at the nurse level, the doctor level, the people in the agency, the people at the state, the individuals we worked with that were really challenging. Like it was just like society threw them away. And I don't know what it was. At the time, I was just like basically a borderline alcoholic. And I just felt like it felt right to be there working with these people. So I did it for 14 years until basically I quit to string full time. So yeah, that's what I did.
14 years. That is insane.
Yeah. It's tough work, but it's rewarding if you like it. And it's complicated because in many ways, I think that what I did was useful, but it was also way overspent in some ways. The idea is you take an individual that formerly would have been maybe in a mental facility or something, and you give them their own home. And then you have round the clock staff that are there working. Well, as you can imagine, that could get quite expensive if you have, like, say, 2 million people that need those sort of services. Who's going to be all these employees? And so there was a lot of fraud and abuse and neglect and terrible people that worked there. But it also was a really good program for a lot of people that maybe if you just put them in a facility, it's sort of like prison. Like if you make one mistake and you end up in prison and then your cellmate's a hardened criminal, you're probably going to become a hardened criminal because you're just fighting for your life. It was the same with these mental facilities. Some of these people were in there because society just didn't quite know what to do with them. And now you're next to a person who's been arrested for sexual offenses and it's like beating the shit out of you because have a lot of problems. And maybe you're just someone that, has is just a pleasant autistic person. So there was goods and bad about it, but I did like it. And anyone who would consider doing it, if you ever DM me, I could give you an honest look, because it's not, it pays like shit and your hours are going to be insane that you work. But if you have the time, it's definitely rewarding. So,
wow. I definitely admire people who can do that, or people who work with like special needs people and stuff like that, and they take them out through the day and help take care of them. And I think it's very admirable. I could never do it. I do not have the patience for that personally. Animals, on the other hand, that I have the patience for, but people, not so much.
It could be. So, like, just to give you, I worked at two companies. There's the man. I worked at two companies. The first one I worked at, I have some interesting stories, but I basically worked with primarily in a 1.5 year period, 3 different people. The second company I worked, I guess that second company was 14 years. I primarily worked with one guy. He's like a brother to me. I go visit him every other week and we have lunch. Great guy. However, just to give, and I want to be clear here before I say this, one of my best friends in the world. Like, imagine going through 4 hours when it's like, today's July 17th. How many days till Christmas? And then you'll count them out. Tomorrow's July 18th. How many days till Christmas there? Now do that the whole way up to December 25th. And I don't care how much of a big heart you have. At some point, you're like, I need to go outside for a minute. Just a minute. I got to catch my breath, because it can start to grate on you. So it definitely is. I always say, are you capable of getting punched in the head and not swinging back? Because that's sometimes a requirement of the job. And there's no shame in admitting, no. Some dude punches me in the head, I'm gonna whack him. So it's, it could be trying both physically and mentally. I always said it's the type of job where 95% of the time I was like, I can't believe I get paid to do this. This is awesome. And then the other 5%, I'm like, I can't believe this is all I get paid to do this, because it's like the most insane situations you can imagine.
I could definitely see that. I, for one, at work, am one of the people who identify on our ERT is if there's shit going down, I am jumping over that desk and I am jumping right in there, which is definitely why I could not. Okay, I'm gonna slide over the desk, maybe like seal myself. Shut up, asshole. Anyway, but regardless, I'm going on the other side of that desk and I'm gonna jump in and help, which is why like that's my instinct, is to help. But however, getting punched in the head, my knee-jerk reaction might be to swing back. So not
the first guy I ever worked with was like, I hate to say this, but Michael Myers-esque, in that he was nonverbal and had seizures. His one eye would constantly do this. Like he was having a permanent seizure, like with some tick with his eye, and he would be super quiet. He could speak in short bursts. He probably weighed 450 pounds and was like 6'4". And the first night I went and worked with him, the other staff was like, I got to go. You'll be fine. He's sleeping. And he woke up a half hour later. And I sit there and I'm a stranger to him. I'm in his home like, hey, buddy, what's up? And he smashes all this stuff in his kitchen. It was crazy. And then a new staff came in. He had his chair, recliner. And they're like, can you help us move the recliner? We're going to sweep under it. And he was so heavy, they had it made out of steel. And so when it was like the heaviest piece of furniture. Me and this other dude drug it. I watched this dude, the client, pick that chair up over his head and throw it through the fucking wall that day. And I'm just like, this guy could literally, like, I'm a bigger guy. This guy could have literally just grabbed my head and been like, pfft, and that would have been it. I've never seen a human being with that much power. It was incredible. And You'd get tough guys that come through. He comes at me, I'm gonna hit him. I'd be like, dude, I've watched this guy take a 2x4 and smash it off his face for like 20 minutes till you couldn't recognize his face. His nose was broke so bad you could see his skull, and there's just blood coming down. He's just smiling, laughing at you, and it's like, yeah, man, you ain't gonna do shit. You're gonna run like I run. That's what you're gonna do. And yeah, it was the most harrowing moment I had there was he. On the side of your house, you'll have like where the power lines come in from like the street, and then it'll like it's always like encased or in some shit along your like siding. The dude ripped it off there. Now what happened was it ripped off and then went up the line, and the line up on the power line snapped and it fell, and it's live, and he is grabbing it and he's running at me with this live power line, and as he's getting to the edge of it where like the wire's exposed, I'm like crying because I'm like, you're gonna die. You are going to die. You're going to grab, and he's out of it. He's not listening. And he gets near the end of the power line, like where it's the part that'll shock him, and he just stops dead and just sits there, and he's completely naked. He just sits Indian style and just starts going for like an hour. And I obviously had to call the police and shit, and like they showed up. And I'll never forget, the owner of the company showed up. She looks at this scene, and I'm like freaked out. And she's like, why is there garbage in the yard over there? And I was like, well, he threw the garbage can.
What?
She's like, clean it up. Like that was that line of work, dude. And what was crazy was I started to like really care about that guy because I realized he did not have one person in this entire world that gave a shit about him. And the dude was trying to kill me on a daily basis, but like everywhere you went, you'd have a doctor appointment with him. They wouldn't even see him. They'd just send a script out in the car. You'd have to crack your window like this, and they'd send a nurse out to throw the script in your car.
Oh my
like
God.
everything that he did, no one wanted to deal with this guy. It was just shove him to the next place, shove him to the next place. And so, I had a falling out with the company after I left, but he passed away. He was the first person they put in a facility in the state of Pennsylvania, like one of the big like mental houses. He was the first one they'd accepted in years in this particular one. And I left the company under bad circumstances. And when he passed away, they called me and asked if I'd go to the funeral. And I said, yeah. And the company put me on the no list. I wasn't allowed to go. And so I was like, well, that sucks. And then I found out, you want to hear the best part? The company didn't send anyone. So they buried the fucking guy alone. There wasn't one person there for his funeral. It's fucking horrible. Like I legitimately wanted to go through my old company and just like smash the window in and just like grab people. Like, what the fuck are you? So petty. But yeah, that was the work. Like you deal with that. And then your next client that you go work for is some like sweet old man that's the nicest person in the world, that would never hurt a fly. That's the line of work. One day you're running from your life for some guy, and that's one of the problems with the field. They lump both of those people in together, and they're like, here's the same level of care. And it's like, no. Like one of those people, there needs to be reasonable restrictions because they're going to kill someone. The other person's a sweet old man that just might say something that's offensive from time to time because he doesn't understand social conventions. So he might blurt out the N-word or, say like, you're fat or something to someone. And it's like, he don't mean it. He's, yeah, right. It's so,
I'm working on that.
There you go. You could get a diagnosis and then they could pay someone to hang out with you. There you go.
Love it.
I'm kind of getting to the point. I don't know if you're here yet, Rob. Also, thank you for coming in.
Anytime. Yeah.
I'm literally on the side of a road right now. So it's been a day. I like how I looked up at my camera. That isn't there. It's down there.
I could do that when I was mobile streaming too. Or I'll like look off to my other screen like, oh yeah, I'm here. There's no other screen. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you're getting there, but I'm kind of getting there. I kind of just like dropping hand grenades now. Are you getting there? You just kind of say like something unusual or kind of off cuff just to kind of see what happens.
It's very, I certainly like, it's very weird because let me give you a real story that happened, right? Like there are people that I will bring on stream that I don't mind, but they're more extreme than me. Right now, I would draw the line. I'm not gonna like bring people on that are like we should use like violence and stuff. That's one thing. But there are people that'll be like, hey man, I don't think you should be allowed to hold office unless you're Christian. Like that's not my belief, right? But I don't mind. What do I give a shit? But then I'm actually working with politicians in Pennsylvania. So you're always like, if I write a speech for a dude in PA, right, and then all of a sudden a national scandal breaks, it's like, oh yeah. well, this guy that wrote your speech was on with Myron Gaines. How about that? You want to hear what he said about that Austrian painter? So it is weird because the nature of me is just like, I just don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. My friends are cool. Even my left-wing friends, they know who I am. So I don't give a shit on that level. But I am aware if you're trying to build bridges into serious inroads in politics, you can't drop that verbal grenade sometimes, even though as much as I would like, because it's like, yeah, I have to keep up appearances,
Well, and this is one thing I find really interesting. So, I'll get your opinion on this. So, I don't hide. I've been very clear from like day one. Like I'm still classical liberal. I still hold those kind of at heart. I still hold them as much as like times are like when I debated a libertarian, I'm like, okay, my libertarianism has kind of died with that. So, when we see things like the left is very effective in the right policing itself, much to the dismay, and very much the right has kind of operated with this almost like we don't want to wield the sword because eventually we're gonna die and someone else is gonna pick it up, and that's the concern, while the left is like, we don't care. And so a trend that I've kind of noticed with this is that, like, the left they'll say the outrageous stuff. Like I'm not sure, well, obviously you've seen like the politics that have gone on, they shouldn't feel comfortable, the stuff that Destiny says and all that type of stuff. And everyone's just like, yeah, obviously,
That guy's crazy.
What's the problem here? And
you're absolutely
go ahead.
And it has to do with, because so much of society and these institutes, this is what I say all the time. This is one of the big mantras I had when I was running for Congress in 2019. Show me the institution that sticks up for like sort of rural conservative values. Where is it? Right? It's not Hollywood. It's not academia. It's not, corporate
Angel
America.
Studios?
They don't care. Right? Well, yeah, there's small little enclaves. Like you could be like, well, right-wing radio, right? Rush Limbaugh. Okay. But ever since Rush has passed, it's nowhere near as effective. Or how about the church? Well, even the church, many branches of it's being sort of infiltrated with more woke type views. And so like, we have this constant mantra. For example, one of the things I was going to talk about in my show later tonight, I was reading this study that it's like 92% of professors and students at law schools right now in the United States identify as left or extreme left wing. 92%. God. And so when you start to have these institutions like churning out generation after generation more people that are radically to that side, what happens is a consensus forms. And that consensus is we're good people and you're bad people. And because of that, you can say whatever you want because you could always default back and the establishment will sort of have your back. But I'm a good person. So when I mock Charlie Kirk dying, that's because I'm a good person and he's a bad person, right? And it doesn't matter that I'm suggesting doing the most horrible, awful shit. We just had Mamdani give press credentials to two ladies that were up there celebrating the murder of Brian Thompson, saying that his kids are better off, and may his kids live well with the blood money. And these are now you might say that's something you might expect to hear like a Vosh or a Destiny say. These are credentialed journalists, right?
Yeah, so this is now mainstream.
Right. Now you have the people that say extreme shit, right? Like Nick Fuentes, but Nick will tell you straight up, where would Nick ever be employable? If he would lose, he's done. There's no like respectable like run-of-the-mill shop that's going to hire that guy or run-of-the-mill job. It's just that's
no
where we're
think
at.
Tank or anything. Not
so
maybe some weird think tank, but yeah,
you get the point though. Like any outside of politics or job, he's done. There's not. If he gets a job at Walmart, people are protesting, right? So what you see then is it makes the left more free to say whatever they want because they know there's not consequences. In fact, not only is there not consequences, in the rare time there is, you're basically hailed as a hero by all of these other people anyways. So your social score goes up anyways, and you become like a martyr. Oh, well, you got fired from your job for cheering for Charlie Kirk dying. You're one of the good ones. You're great, and you're celebrated. So yeah, it becomes like that. I share your dream though. I was thinking about this the other day. So much. And I'll admit to being guilty of this from time to time. There are times where something will come up and I'll think, look, this is my legitimate take, and it's always my legitimate take. But I'll say, that'll help in the future. So you know what? If I'm like, hey, I was against the Iran pull. What do I think right now about the Venezuela situation? We went into Venezuela. There's part of me that says, look, in the future, if something happens, I could say, here was my take. Why do I give a fuck anymore? Why do I care about that? Why do I give a shit that, I'll be able to look to the left and be like, look, though, I've been consistent. I ultimately don't give a fuck what those people think anymore. They could call me a hypocrite. They could call me a bastard. They could say that I'm just a team player. It's all naked projection. I know that I have a standard and I try to hold by it. And the people that know me well know that that's the case. And all these lefties could fuck off. Destiny the other day calls on to the stream when I'm on with Ryan Mullally, and they're going to try to make these, well, I disagree with this court decision, blah, 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 so that they could run around and say, therefore, we need to pack the court. They don't give a shit. They don't care about the individual decision. They're not legitimately thinking, oh, these justices aren't interpreting the law correctly, and so we need to get ones that are. All they give a shit's power. That's all they care about. So I no longer care if those people get upset. That's, getting called a racist, getting called a homophobe, getting called like a hypocrite by these people. They'd go fuck themselves. It literally could mean next to nothing to me. I just don't care. I really don't. So.
Well, okay. So here's my theory, and let me know how accurate or inaccurate I am with this. So typically with the left, because most of them either don't believe in a god or or some kind of like spiritualist thing. So through the atheist or whatever type of view, they see that the world it's one shot. You came from the dirt and you return from the dirt from whence you came. And so to them, they are creating a world. They're creating their forever, their utopia. While the right, and this is the thing I've noticed within Canada a lot, is that the right looks for a savior. They're always looking for the God, or they're always like, this is just temporary. I'm actually looking to God to do something for me. And so I think that's where the left has been so much more effective. And they're going, we are the gods. We are God. We are creating this world, while you guys are too concerned that you might piss off the old man upstairs. You're concerned about that, looking for a savior rather than you becoming the savior. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's truth to that. And I think that what it is, I think you pegged the left, right? The left feels, right, that they're morally justified. In a sense, they might not say that they're gods, but in effect, they're the authority because they're correct, because they're morally superior, and therefore they're the authority, and the ends always justify the means, etc. In effect, saying, forget about the deity aspect of it, but they are the power that must be answered to. They answer to themselves on the left. You are right. There's a lot of people, and in a good way, on the right, especially Christians, that think that there's a higher power to answer to. Where I think, and I don't consider myself someone well-versed in Christianity. I am non-denominational Christian at this point, which I think pisses off a lot of my ortho bro friends, but hey, it is what it is. I think where a lot of
You're not a real Christian, Rob.
Yes, I know. I've heard it all. I think where a lot of people on the right get this wrong is, to me, that's not my understanding of Christianity. The idea that it's like, there's a lot of this like, well, who really cares? God will sort it all out anyways. That's sort of testing God, in my opinion, right? That's the whole point is, right? God put us here for a reason, and part of that reason is to make this place right here as much in his image as possible, or forget the specifics of it, of what do you mean Christian religion? In other words, we're supposed to take this and do good with it. We're not supposed to sit in our ass and say, God will take care of it. That's not a virtue, right? And so for me, the idea of waiting for a religious savior in the sense that I don't have to do anything because God will take care of it, to me is antithetical to Christianity. And it also then comes in that form when you're waiting for a human leader. Well, Trump will take care of it. Or, I was arguing with some of the, Nick Fuentes fans the other day, and I was like, okay, let's play this plan through. How do we get the candidate that you guys will be happy with? We vote Democrat in 2026. Okay, now what? How do we get the candidate you want in 2028? And basically what this guy on my channel was telling me, I was like, for example, where's that candidate going to get fundraising from? Where's it coming from? Like, who is all of a sudden on the... Most of the anti-Israel people that are funding are going to do so on the Democratic Party. So who is it that's going to give you big money on the right? Where's your ground game, your infrastructure? This shit matters, particularly for a presidential election. And what I was told was, whoever that candidate is, will figure it out. Now, that sounds an awful like trust the plan. The very criticism they have of the people that are like the QAnon too into Trump people. I'm sorry, I'm not just going to be a trust the plan person. I think that it's perfectly fine to be willing to work with people that maybe have tools that I don't, that are more effective, that are more likely to win political office, or that have a better cultural reach than me. I don't have to be the man up front. I'm not saying that. But I also think it's a mistake to just sit in your laurels and say, someone will take care of it. Whether it be God, whether it be a politician like Trump, or it be Carney or whatever, or Polivier or whatever. Like, you're wrong if you're anywhere and you're like, I assume that some man's going to come along and fix all this. It's not going to happen. So you should make yourself better, and you should, try your best to help things, No, I'm afraid not,
I've been
Kim.
waiting for... Damn it.
Yep, sorry.
I've been waiting for my knight in shining armor. Tyler,
and I had to break the news to you. How horrible, yeah.
I mean...
I'm sorry.
My whole life is over.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and so I think that's kind of an interesting thing. So, in some right-leaning circles that I've talked to, people, and of course, like a lot of my view, it comes through a Canadian politics, Canadian lens, and I hear people, they're like, well, I did a petition. I brought it to my member of parliament, my congressman, and it didn't pass. Canada's fucked. Everything sucks. It's all over. Pack it up. Go. Time to flee the country and everything else. And it's like the you think the left has done that? Like, you think the whole idea of the slow march on the institutions was by accident? As you said, 92%. If 92% of lawyers, where are they going? Where are they going? They're not going, they're not retreating. They're saying, go forward. So that 92%, now those are lawyers. Now those are lawmakers. Now those are judges. Now those are magistrates. Now those are your next Supreme Court justices. That's what they're doing. They're taking those institutions and they're making them that. And the right just goes like, well, fuck it. We throw up our hands. We lost. Donald Trump's not Jesus. Well, fuck. I guess it's all over, boys.
Well, that's the crazy thing to me, is that the left literally they're like fucking bulldogs. They'll just bull you down. It doesn't matter if you live or not. They will bull you down to make their point. And it's like, we need more of that in the conservative side, even though ideologically we align more in the left, but technically speaking, we have more in common with people on the right, because the people on the left are psychotic now. So we need more people on the right that are willing to, okay, well, this doesn't work, or we're not going to wait for our next savior, Lord and Savior Trump. They need to push more.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because, one, quite literally, if you look at studies, particularly with young people, the more left-wing you get, the more likely you are quite literally to be crazy, to be diagnosed with significant mental health issues, right? So that's just true. The other thing is, like, think about, if I were to ask either of you, like, what are the characteristics you think could make someone more conservative? Like, what would you say? Like, forget about religion. If you were like, hey, there's Rob, what would make you more conservative leaning? What are some of the things have kids? That'd be my first one. Get married, have kids, or work a job and make a lot of money. And then all of a sudden the tax man comes and you're like, hey, wait a minit, right? Like those types of things.
Work and make not a lot of money. And then you go like, oh, I got $1,000 or $600 or whatever. And it's like, yeah, half of that's not yours.
Yeah. So having a family, having a serious job, right? Those are the types of things that make you more conservative. And ironically, those are the things that make you less likely to want to be politically active, right?
Yeah.
The left has this advantage where it's like, they got nothing to lose. They're fucking miserable, so many of them. Right? Like, most of the people I know are apolitical that live in my little rural area. And they're really conservative. They are. They just don't give a shit to vote. They don't give a shit at all about politics. You know what they give a shit about? Hey, the poker run's coming up this weekend. I got to get my four-wheeler running. And it'll be nice that my brother's coming into town. We're going to have a big family reunion, And my kids got soccer practice after school today. That's the shit they're focused on, right? The left is focused 100% of the time on attack,
Yes.
attack, get into every institution. We say things like this. We'll be like for example, the reason I'm stubbornly still on Twitch, even though I only have like 2 or 3 people that watch me there, is because I have committed myself to being like, fuck you. You're going to have to ban me from this space before I leave. That's where I'm at. But most of the time, conservatives are just like this. Oh, I'm not wanted here. I'll leave. I don't give a shit. We'll have our own thing. Right? The left is like, we're going into every one of those motherfucking spaces. Oh, it was like a male-dominated thing to play like pen and paper RPGs and video games. Fuck you. We're coming and taking that. Oh, sports? That was a man-dominated. Fuck you. We're coming there. Now,
Disney? Fuck you. We're coming there.
Yeah.
D&D was so fucking cool. Now it's lame and gay.
Now, you're Canadian. Are you hockey fans?
No, I'll root for the Jets from our fucking Manitoba.
Oh, Winnipeg, yeah, okay.
Winnipeg. Yeah, I'll root for our Jets, but other than that, no.
They're spending a ton of time and energy on trying to make fucking NHL like LGBTQ.
Oh, because they just had a
fucking
the Ottawa Senators just posed. Yeah, okay. So you've seen that too. The Ottawa Senators just like, hey, pride is hockey is inclusive for everyone, and every single year they put that rainbow tape on the stick. And there's hockey players that have come out. A lot of hockey players, or I shouldn't say a lot, but there's been a few that have actually stuck their neck out and saying, I'm not okay with this. Like religiously, I find this disgusting of portraying this type of stuff.
But now, the thing is you're not going to see, you're not going to see it on that side. You're going to see the men who are going into the women's hockey leagues to fucking dominate, but you're not going to see a woman who is, I identify as a male, going into a male hockey league. You're not going to have it. It's not a thing. Like, and if it is so very rare that you don't even hear about it.
They did once in the NFL. There was a woman kicker and she kicked it. Like it was just enough that it was fair ball. So it was like 10 yards. And the enemy team, sorry, fucking nerd, the opposing team got the ball and ran it back, and that was her first and only kick in the NFL. They fucking canned that chick.
Well, then even better than that, there was the NFL hired a female ref, right? And can I share screen here? I'll show you this real quick.
Yeah, you can. You can do whatever you want.
You get a kick out of this. There you go. You bring that up. So the NFL hires their first female referee, and here you see the article from earlier the year. Fired female referee files discrimination lawsuit against the NFL. Part of her argument was that the uniform didn't fit her well because she's chesty. And so it's like, that's the type of shit you're talking about. Like, even when they go woke, that's what makes me laugh so hard about this. These organizations bend over backward to appease these people that don't give a fuck. The average NFL fan, some like dude like in the bar downtown where I live, like that's making $12 an hour working his fingers to the fucking bone, that saves up enough money just to buy a fucking jersey and cable TV so he could watch the game every Sunday and be left the fuck alone. And he has to be reminded time and time again. You would look, if you were outside of this society, if you're an alien looking in, you'd be like, so let me get this straight. This motherfucking guy is a carpenter. He's up on roofs. He does roofs every fucking, something that's important for people's lives. He's up there. He's making like $12-13 an hour. Then this guy over here catches a football and he's making millions, right? But the roofer is perfectly fine with that relationship. He's like, that's okay. Mm-hmm. I just want to be able to watch that guy on Sundays. That's it. And that guy that catches the ball goes, fuck you, roofer guy. Acknowledge your privilege. Right?
Yeah.
Well, how insane is that? That's where we're at.
Well, and that's what happened with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. Like, I was saying, like at the time, like they are very, like the left is very effective at getting into these places, making these grievances type of things, and then the right, now we're seeing the right is finally kind of mounting ahead. But since Charlie Kirk, the right is fucking fractured. I think that I don't think the right can actually mount a counter to anything now.
It's a very difficult, first, you're absolutely right, but like just to tie bone, it's a difficult line to say, we absolutely, although you want to just be with your family and the things that, help make you conservative, you also have to take an active stance in sort of our culture and in our politics. You should, but you don't want to go too far. And that's the other danger that we run into. And I think you've probably seen this too, like being a streamer and talking about these issues, people get super black-pilled. Right. And it's like they get fucking depressed. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, we're all dust. If you're religion, then you go to heaven. If you don't believe in religion, then you're dust. But either way, the things that are going to matter are real mark on life. How we treated those around us.
Yeah.
Were you a good husband? Were you a good wife? Were you a good parent? Were you a good child? Right? Were you a good neighbor? That shit matters more than anything I'll ever talk about on this channel. So it's not worth, like, you got to keep those two. It's hard to keep that yin and yang where it's like, yeah, I want to push for things politically. I want to push for things culturally, but not to the point where I become a morose asshole like these people on the left and start to lose sight and, become this depressed maniac. It's not like that. Life's a blast. Even if things are looking down, like so much of it's your attitude. With the Charlie Kirk thing, you're absolutely right. I'll just say this real quick on it, right? Like, there is a vacuum. It's been left by Charlie Kirk, and you see a lot of different factions scrambling. And Kirk's strong suit was the ability to bring all of these factions that were like tangentially right, like the libertarian right, and like even the Groyper right to some extent, and the neocon right, and the Christian right. Like, it's not that these people all like Charlie Kirk, but it was like Switzerland. It was like a neutral ground where it was like, this was the one guy that somehow actually had the ear of not just on the ground people, but also the serious political people, and was trying to patchwork everything. And the left has achieved an incredible victory strategically of killing him and then celebrating it and getting away with it. And it's no doubt helped them immensely. It really has.
Which is absolutely insane to me because, sorry, sweetie, but
no, go ahead.
With
sweetie,
you,
what the fuck?
I don't know. I'm not really sure why that even came out.
Fuck this.
Oh my God. I know, right? I'm so sorry. I don't know what
that's how it did. We know what you meant.
Sorry, bitch.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
You didn't want to say cocksucker on stream. I got it.
I mean, I'm talking to my kid too much today. Anyway, fuck, I forgot where I was gonna go with that.
Oh
shit, I lost it. Yeah.
Dead air.
Well, yeah. Well, but so this is something that I've like, because I'm even doing like, have you ever done like the political compass test?
Yeah. A long time ago, but yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of do it once every. Oh, yeah. Where do you fall on that?
I should redo it, but I was sort of right-wing libertarian, like conservative libertarian, but like not extreme, like sort of center onto the bottom right there is where I was. More towards the center line than the bottom line. But yeah, that's basically where I would guess that I've become less libertarian though in a significant way, and I think having a kid helped change my perspective on that because I put it this way, right? I didn't give a fuck when I was a drunk that I'd go out in the public street and it smells like weed, but I give a shit now that I have my kid. Right? And I'm like, fuck all that. Yeah. I don't want that. Now, I'm not super authoritarian. I'm not like, throw these fuckers in prison the rest of your life. But I'm okay being like, hey, man, put the joint down. What the fuck are you doing? Like, come on. It's a public area. So I've certainly became more in that sense. And unfortunately, I think that maybe the impulses, I'm still really have an affinity for the classic liberal and like the libertarian. But I don't know that, I guess this is shitty to say, and they would be pissed at me for saying this. I don't know if it's the right time for them. I don't know that they have the tools necessary to push back against this authoritarian left that's hell-bent on controlling every aspect of our life,
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I saw your debate with that Casey person, and older or a younger me, I should say, would have said, kind of the idea of like, yeah, man, just kind of live and let live. Two adults, they want to do their thing, leave them alone. Which, kind of in theory, I still hold on to it. But it's becoming harder and harder to really hold on to that feeling of the, hey man, they're adults, as long as they're informed, let them do their thing. And that's kind of waned. And so it's like, okay,
I guess. Well, a serious, look, it's like weird trans stuff, weird gay shit and stuff like that, right? Here's my feeling on it all, right? I don't think it should be illegal to be gay. I don't, right? Mm-hmm. I think that we should be like, ugh. That's what I think society's reaction should be. Like, for real, I have gay friends, but I would let them know that I'm like, ugh.
Do you tell them ugh?
No, we don't talk about it, but I think they know that it's my feeling where it's like, for me, it's like, it's not, I say this all the time. Again, I find it's weird to me. Everybody wants to debate religion and shit now, and which is fine. And I'm not saying that's not important. That's not my forte. And so I end up James from Modern Day Debate all the time. He'd be like, "You want to do Christian nationalism?" And I'm like, I told myself over and over, I never want to do that style debates. I ended up taking them because I'm like, let's do politics. No one wants to debate me on politics, so okay, I'll do the Christian nationalism thing. And what I say all the time is like, I don't think that everything that I personally believe is a sin should be made illegal. I just think that we as a society should be like, look, it's not good. Being gay is not good. It's not. It doesn't help society at large, right? It hurts with birth rate numbers. It increases disease numbers and shit like that. And we should as a society be like, no, it's weird. And by the way, there's other things that aren't even as obvious as that. Like, we should go back to society saying it's fucking gross if you're banging a bunch of people before you're married. That's gross, and we should adopt that. Should we make it illegal? No, of course not. But there's this
culture
idea.
Is so much more important.
Bring shame back.
Cultural enforcement. Yeah, cultural enforcement. Look at COVID or any of these things. It was culture enforcement. The social enforcement is so much more powerful than the law.
Totally agree. And that's, for me, it's like, the idea, they're like, oh, you want to make all the 10 commandments like a crime. I'm like, no, honor your mother and father. No, I don't want it to be a crime for you to be like, you suck, Dad. I don't think you should go to jail for that. But it's good advice. Societally, we should push that. Yes, it does make sense to have society where we have respectful, intuitive parents that are involved, right? And then we have children that honor that, right? That would make sense to try to, obviously there's always exception. Do you have to honor your dad if he's like a drunk that's beating your mom? No, of course not. But we all get the idea that it's these normal principles that we should push for and normalize as a society. It doesn't mean you have to make shit illegal. So when it comes to that libertarian aspect, I'm still I would still be like, you know what? I'm probably okay with legalized weed. I probably am. But I think it's fucking stupid. If I'm honest, I think the people that are that you're so addicted to weed that you can't help yourself when you're out in public. You can't wait and go fucking hit a bong in shame like I did from time to time in college, back in your dorm. You can't do that. You have to do it at the fucking concert in front of my kid, we went to this show. There's a PBS show called Wild Kratts. We went to, it's a kid's show. It's pretty cool. We went to a live event, and as we're walking in the venue, it smells like weed. It's a fucking show for 5-year-olds, man. And someone couldn't hold themselves, to smoke weed there. And I'm not saying, again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying they should have cops should have come in and drugged that dude out. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's okay as a society to be like, hey man, what the fuck are you doing? That's not cool. Yeah. And we've gone so far the other way. Ironically, it is weird because you'd be like, well, the left are the parties of huge government control, censorship, and all this shit. So you'd think it'd be antithetical to the libertarians, but not really, because the left's also really embraces this. Fuck it, do what you want, feel good, right? That's sort of the idea. You don't have a duty to yourself. You don't have a duty to society. You don't have a duty to your wife or to your kids. Do what makes you feel good. You want to have an abortion? You go do it, girl. You want to go fuck 100 dudes?
Get that punch card, baby.
Go do it. Go do it, baby. You do it. There's no shame in any of that. And ironically, that somewhat fits in to what some libertarians think. Now, not all. There's very good libertarians that are like, no, fuck all that. We're just saying that liberty means the government doesn't enforce, but we hold ourselves to a moral code where we enforce ourselves. We just don't think it should be under the guise of law. So I think that, weirdly enough, you see a lot of that classic liberal that's sort of attaching itself to the left because in their mind, it's yeah, man, free love, do whatever the fuck you want, libertarianism, right? I was never that type of guy. I was okay with the, don't make shit illegal, but I was very much against the, you don't have any duty to your family or society, shit like that.
I will say the other day.
The men are talking.
Sorry.
Timothy 2:11, Kim, shut it.
Aren't you an atheist?
Yeah. I like to
Timothy's
invoke
my
it, though.
neighbor.
knows a lot about the Bible, though. It's
Yeah,
just
Timothy's
really weird.
Timothy's my neighbor. The second note he wrote me, the 11th paragraph.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
So I will say, just really quick, that it's funny because Tyler and I were actually having a conversation the other day, and I literally told him, me in high school growing up, I was that goth kid. I was the bad seed goth kid who did things that shouldn't be doing. And I'm never in my teenage years, what I think that come adulthood, I would be more like my parents, for one, and two, sitting there having religious debates, and I'm not even a religious person. I'm like, this is so messed up, for one. And two, um shit.
Oh, sorry, I laughed.
Damn it.
Sorry.
You
That-
bitch.
God has
Paradise.
smitten you. God has smitten you right now.
Timothy
Well,
2:11,
ADHD at its
baby.
finest, guys. Sorry.
Now
Sorry.
I agree with you though. Like I was an atheist.
Oh.
I went to a Pentecostal church and it really damaged me on Christianity because it was on its face corrupt and stupid. And the defining line for me was when the pastor's wife pulled me aside and said, "You're too smart for this." What's up, Tiki Ty? What's up, man? I mean, think of that. Your preacher's wife. I'm there. I'm like 14 there to legitimately learn. And I'm being told by the people in positions of authority, "You're too smart for this." That was my cue that this isn't the right church. And so I became atheist. I was for years, and I was a smart ass about it. What brought me back was people that I saw their life not evangelizing to me. They didn't never talk to me about religion, but I knew they were Christian, and I saw the life they were living, and I was like, that's a life that I like. Right? They're married, they have kids, they're happy, right? They're not out like hungover every day like I was. And I was like, that was something to strive for. And so I eventually became agnostic and then transitioned to like non-denominational Christian. But let me piss off everyone, because this shouldn't be, not you two necessarily, but we run in some similar circles, like over there in Verbal Combat. I love Andrew Wilson. Andrew's great, Rachel's great. I owe them a lot. They're good friends of mine, right? But sometimes I think so many people in our circle, like the people on Verbal Combat or other channels like that, they want to emulate Andrew so much.
Yes.
And
holy fuck. Yes.
They always want to take it to this, like, this esoteric, like, philosophical, religious, well, how do you define ethics and all that? And oftentimes to me, it's like, man, I think that one, you're not Andrew Wilson or Jay Dyer, so you're incapable of arguing like them. And so you're doing it a disservice. But secondly, even with them, I would say, sometimes you dig so deep and you have every right to do it, but it just becomes too much and you're losing the practical application of shit.
Yeah.
And so it frustrates me because I see this a lot when you'll get on these Verbal Combat panels and it's like, you know how it is, people donate for you to debate. And it's always you got to play to the audience. But I know exactly what to say. I could be like, well, what does truth really mean? You don't know shit. It's all, and I know that 95%.
What's your epistemology? Where do you root your morals and ethics in? If it's not God, then you have no reason to actually live.
Yeah, it's like, and for me, it'd be like, like, let's say me and you are debating, right? And the question is, J.D. Vance would be a good president, right? And I give my opening statement. I'm like, sure, he would. I think that it would lower the deficit. I think that we would focus more on domestic policy, blah, blah, blah. And your opening statement would be, how do you define good? Right? Where does the ethics and the morals? And it's like, man, I get it. Right? I understand that sometimes that is necessary in a debate to define your terms like that. But there's so much of a propensity now for people in our circle to just be like, we'll just spend all of our time arguing that. And it's like, man, you know what the fuck I mean. You know what I mean when I say, I just explained how I would define good. Our economy's doing better. The border's more secure. People are happier. People are living longer. Good. Well, why would that be good? It's like...
Yeah, and that... So this is actually one thing that I've noticed. Like, I agree. It is very much in those kind of debate spheres on the right. Yes, it's very much like your Christian nationalist, ortho bro, philosophy or fuck English.
Philosophy? Yeah.
Philo do something like that. And yeah, it becomes that, okay, we don't really get to the meat of the issue. But this is actually one thing that I've thought of is when we have to now define good, I think that's a problem.
It can be. Now listen, I'll steel man the other side of it. The easiest way to do it is to point an actual debate that maybe you've seen. Andrew Wilson debates Brian Shapiro, for the first time. Right? And the topic was, can you ethically support Trump? Now, the very nature of that debate is it's centered around the concept of ethics. Completely makes sense in that world that you're going to have like, well, what is ethical? Where does your ethics go? That makes sense. In that debate, it totally makes sense. Then Brian messages me and's like, hey, man, will you come on my show and debate about Trump? I don't want it to be ethics, though. Okay, fine. I don't really debate ethics. No problem. Right? He's like, we'll just talk about it. The thing he really wanted to talk about, he said, was, remember back then it was like Trump was bombing these Venezuelan boats. So it was before they went into Venezuela. It was when they were bombing. So he's like, let's talk about that. No problem. I said, that's fine. Very first question he asked me, how could you ethically support Trump? And it's like, well, but see, now that I understand the philosophical debate, because it's like, once you make it a matter like that, if you would have just said, do you think it's a good thing that Trump's bombing these boats? I would have never went down the train of like, well, how do you define good? But when you're like, how can you ethically, now that's a different level. And I think what happens is sometimes it does a disservice to, you could ultimately be right and hurt your cause. And this is one of the things I say to people a lot of times. The first question you should ask when you enter a debate is, why am I debating? And people, like, I think people think I'm fucking them over, like I'm trying to be like some wise man on the mountain, like telling them some bullshit. But I really mean that, because think about it this way. Let's say you could win a debate that way, right? And let's say there's an audience watching, they're like, hey, I'm really deciding who to vote for here in the midterms, Republicans or Democrats, right? And the Democrats like, here's 3 reasons you should prefer Democrats, why it would be good. And the right-winger person destroys them by saying, define good. Where do you get your ethics from? Oh, you don't have an ethical framework? Like, how would you define this? And they just run circles around them, like on philosophy. Did you really win the debate? Now, maybe everyone watching agrees the other person looks stupid, but if you advance the cause of people voting Republican, well, I don't know. Exactly. If your goal is, I actually want people to go vote Republican, have you advanced that cause, or have you just won a debate against this one dude? So everyone has different reasons to enter these debates and do these things. I am usually thinking, what is the practical real-world application of me arguing? If I'm arguing against reparations, my goal is to lay the groundwork for not necessarily my opponent, but the people that are watching to agree with me and say, yes, these are positions that we should avoid. If I'm arguing against pornography, same thing. If I spend all my time just like, I'm just going to hyper-focus on like the root cause of ethics and religion and stuff like that, I don't know that I move the ball forward. Now, on the other hand, if your primary concern is to move people to a particular denomination of Christianity, totally makes sense that you hyper-focus on like sort of the ethical applications. And I don't begrudge those people, because of course your religious faith should be one of the most important things in your life, and so I totally understand it. It's just not my style of debate, and increasingly it seems like, from a perspective of, we're trying to find people that disagree in like spaces like that where we're having all these debates. And increasingly it's like, well, everybody's sort of agrees on 95% of this shit. And so we're arguing this fringe, but it's always appealing back to that 95%, Yeah.
And that's actually why, like, I actually sought out more kind of right-leaning stuff, is that kind of that counter push. I shouldn't say counter push, but kind of that
opposite.
Yeah, it is, and I've seen you say this, that like it's hard to debate people that like you more or less agree, but it's more like, how much do we agree? How much immigration, how much? 0? Negative? Like, is there a percentage? Okay, we kind of agree there's, immigration's okay. But yeah, and I like going into those different spaces where I can challenge those ideas and really understand like where they're coming from, and I kind of look at, like, I say, I know people give me shit for this, but like it's true. I'm a middle of the road normie. Like, I'm, like I said, classical liberal. I'm a left leaning centrist, more libertarian.
You are,
and so yeah,
I straddle that pool harder than you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so so with kind of exploring more of those ideas or seeing those types of things, it's kind of like, do people really think like, well, when I'm engaging with the world, am I thinking of the laws of logic? It's like, no, people have they have contradictions all the time, and there's logical fallacies and there's cognitive dissonance abound. And it's like, how does the normal person, seeing those, say, like high tier, like I can do those kind of like highbrow philosophy type of ideas, but it's like, what is the normal person? Do they give a shit about like, well, where does my good come from? No, they care like where their kids are, they're going up in a safe neighborhood, yada yada yada. The more the feels rather than the logic.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I did, so like with the, with the Crucible, and they have their own Discord stuff. Great guys. I recommend it. If I don't know how you get signed into the Foundry, the Crucible's Discord, but it's a great place. You can also come over to my Discord, Normal America. I'm going to start doing more with it. My man Avarice is setting it up for me better. But
Perfect.
I went over, they have a debate club. So they were like, will you come and do some debate lessons? And you want to know what's funny? There's people there that would admit to you they're novice like debaters. They're taking a club to get better at debate. Great idea. Right? It's something that could really help you, not just as a fun activity, but also could have application in real life. I'm going to tell you, despite the fact that I was a nationally ranked debater and that I coached a national championship team, probably 90% of the people on the entry level, like been in the Crucible's debate club for 2 months, know more fallacies than me. They know how to name them. I never learned that shit. Never. And that's maybe not good, you would say. But here's the problem. I intuitively know when it's a fallacy. I just don't know the name of the fallacy. I don't have the professional articulation of it. The problem is sometimes you learn the jargon and that replaces the critical thinking for it. So let me give you an example. Like, I don't know if you play chess. I play a little bit of chess. And when you, in chess now, one of the things that's happened is you learn an opening. So you'll learn, like, I move here, and your opponent always moves here, and you learn, like,
Sicilian, baby.
Yeah, okay. See, I like Jabava London on white,
I don't know what
and
the
then
fuck that is.
I'm a French defense fan on the left. But you learn these, you learn. And what a good chess coach will tell you is it's not enough to memorize the move. You have to ask yourself each move, why am I doing this? What is the point? What am I setting up? I've learned the first 5 moves, but if I couldn't tell you why those 5 moves make sense, I'm fucked on move 6. I don't know. I don't have the concept. If I tell you each move, I'm moving this pawn here because the goal is I want this pawn to break at the end of the game. So I'm trying to constantly make moves with that in mind. It's the same with these fallacies. If you just learn the jargon, it's like, I've memorized the move, but I can't tell you why, right? And so a lot of people that when I talk about debate, they'll be like, well, we win because we pointed out 3 fallacies you did. And it's like, well, that's not a win. Not to the average person.
But the audience, like, you sounded like a fucking douchebag 99% of the time.
That could be it. And even if you don't, it's like, the way I view debate, and this is a policy debate, right? What we did in college, it's sort of an offense-defense paradigm. You have to have offense to win, right? So a debate that I judged at the university it wasn't the style of debate that I participated in. This was a public debate. And the debate was, should the university I was attending have a drunk bus? What a drunk bus was, there was these around campuses around the area that had these. No questions asked bus that was ran by student volunteers with their license that would pick you up anywhere in town and drive you anywhere in town. And if you were shit-faced, didn't matter. They didn't card you. The idea was to stop drunk driving. So you didn't feel that I have to try. You call this number, we come pick you up, no fee, get you where you're going, right? Okay, that's the idea of a drunk bus. So this team's arguing yes, right? We should have a drunk bus. So they stand up and they're like, basically they make one argument. It would cut down on drunk driving, okay? And they give like a 2-minute opening. Wasn't very good, but that's their argument. And the other team's argument was, no, it won't. And that was the whole debate. They just went back, yeah, here's how many DUIs we've had. And this could cut back. Here at this university, it cut back. It cut back on wrecks. It cut back on criminals, And the other team is like, nah, I don't think I'd work here. And the team that said they didn't think it would work there was doing a decent job, but they lost the debate. Because at the end of the day, the average person's like, well, why not try it? You haven't given me any reason that it's bad to try. Like, for example, you didn't say it would cost a lot of money, which is bad. You didn't say that. You just said, no. You have to have an offensive reason. And so the real world, when you're debating in the real world, a lot of time these like sort of like the logic of like the fallacy and this, that, and the other, like it doesn't really translate to an average person. So again, if your goal's like, I'm trying to win this court case, or I'm trying to win this election, or I'm trying to win public perception, like a lot of times just shouting, that's a fallacy, where's your ethical foundation, etc., it's not going to move the needle. I mean, we live in a fucked up world where it's like, things matter that ought not matter when it comes to like sort of public debate. You want to know some of the matters about public debate that you would be like, what? How good looking you are. Gavin Newsom stands a chance to seriously win the presidency in a large part because there are 60% of women that will vote for him just because he's a good looking dude.
Yeah.
That's life. You have to be prepared to deal with that reality. Standing up and being like, well, that's fallacious. That doesn't mean that his argument's true. Agreed.
Doesn't matter. It's how it makes you feel.
You have to articulate that in a way that makes sense. And if you're in this jargonistic framework, or you're in this like hyper philosophical framework, I don't know how much it translates to the guy down the street, that's working 9 to 5 fucking as a welder. He's gonna be like, what, a tu quoque fallacy? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? What does good mean? I fucking know what good means. Shit like that. So that's sort of, and I want to be clear, I'm not shitting on the people that do that. There is a time and a place, and it's certainly, you could use those tools effectively. All I'm suggesting is don't rely so heavily on those tools, because you see someone who's a master at it like Andrew Wilson, and then you fall into that, and you're like, but wait a minute, I took debate club, or I'm interested in debate because I want to argue with my friends, and it's not working for you. That's because your friends are arguing on a different level, not in a higher level or a lower level, just a different level. And that type of jargonistic approach isn't gonna do it for them.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of that is a problem I see, that in those kind of spheres, it is very much, it's like the let's be Andrew Wilson. Like, Andrew Wilson is the top tier. He's the he's the best in all of it. And, and that's kind of becomes a problem.
I would say this, like, from the bottom of my heart. Andrew would absolutely destroy me at any philosophical debate. Like, he just would. I could do the philosophical debates, but I'm not in the level of Andrew or Jay Dyer or a lot of these other people. On the political debates, I do just fine. Andrew's also good at political debates, but you have to know how to seamlessly move into those, like, to be able to utilize all of those tools. If you're going to be like a top tier debater, you got to be able to, you might have your specialty, but you want to be able to go with the flow. And a lot of times what people do is they see if it's easier, if you're watching and you're pissed off about this, let me rephrase it. Hey, everybody watching, you know how you fucking hate when some low-level piece of shit Destiny orbiter will come on and be like, wait, and he starts trying to talk like Destiny? Yeah, it doesn't work, does it? It doesn't work. And you recognize it easily when it's someone else. You're like, this is a cheap Destiny impression.
Not naming names, not so erudite.
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, well,
what do you mean? What don't you want to do? You even know what the fuck you're talking about? What the fuck, bro? What the fuck do you even know?
Pisco's my favorite like that, because ironically, I think Pisco's a better legal debater than Destiny. And a lot of topics, Pisco's better. I truly mean that, right? And if you just Pisco's at his best when he's not debate broing. Like, he actually is persuasive to me when he's just like, look, Rob, I disagree with that. Look here. And you're like, okay, I see your point there. But the problem is he had success through Destiny. And so much of his persona is trying to be a fucking tough guy like Destiny. So if you watch him on X, he'll just be like, hey, Dave Portnoy, would you like to come on for a conversation? Dave Portnoy's the head of Barstool Sports. A bigger name, right? He's got a lot of influence. You want to come on and talk about this? And then Dave will either not respond, or he'll just say, like, nah. And then the next post from Pisco will be like, you fucking coward! You fucking little bitch! Yeah, that's right, you run, motherfucker! And you're like, what are you doing? How is this working for you? I'm not saying that it's not possible to have that bravado, like, but that's not him. It's clear that he is trying to, like, amp it up because he saw it work for someone. And like or dislike Destiny, his particular brand works for his audience. It does. And that's, look, I far be it for me to praise that bastard, but Destiny has an incredible work ethic when it comes to streaming. He puts in as many hours as anyone when it comes to streaming. And he's entertaining, and he is definitely someone that's like a rabid dog to the point of fucking absurdity that will argue a point for hours and hours and hours, even just a red herring semantical point, so that he could get a perceived victory. And there is a lot of people that want that in their side. They fucking want that, and that works. But that doesn't mean if you want to be a left-wing debater that it's going to work for you. Why would I want to watch someone doing an impression of Destiny when I could just go watch Destiny?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why would I want to watch someone doing an Andrew Wilson impression if I could just go watch Andrew Wilson?
Yeah.
And the irony is, people will say to me, they'll be like, oh, you think you're Andrew Wilson. I'm like, how? Have you ever watched us debate? Our styles couldn't be more different. I almost never spend time, unless it's on Verbal Combat, arguing definitions of words. Because when I'm doing a debate with a lefty, there's just like yeah, I understand what we mean by, is James Comey a bad guy? We get it, right? On Verbal Combat, it's a little different because everybody's like in this like sort of, we all agree with each other. We're in this circle, right? And so we're arguing fringe shit. So, and I don't know if you've noticed, most of the time I try to put myself in a position where I'm willing to take either side of the argument. And so like, it's a difficult thing for me because I don't want to just lie. Like there are times where I'll be like, dude, I don't believe this at all, but I'll argue. But most of the time I'm arguing something I believe. And the reason is because the topics are often difficult. It's not a one side, like, yep, this is clear. So you'll say, well, what are the I'm sort of in my head thinking through the question as I'm debating. So I'll have a gut feeling. I'll be like, my gut feeling on this is this, but I could debate the other side and make the arguments that I really believe, and then we'll see how it comes out at the end. And so I really try that. I tried it because, you know, I'm trying to give my opponent, you'll sit there all night, I don't want to debate that one. I don't want to debate that one. And I get it. And at the end of the day, if we had a healthier mix of righty and lefties, it'd be easier for all of us to find a topic, right? Yeah. But instead, it's like, if we agree on 90% of shit, how the fuck can we find a topic to disagree on? It's very difficult, you know? So someone's got to bite the bullet and just be like, yeah, fuck it. Like, whatever. Let's just argue it, you know?
Yeah. And that's where, like, my, you know, with me being still kind of that classical liberal, like, you know, I wouldn't say I cut my teeth, but, you know, like you were kind of talking about, like, your kind of like fall from religion. Mine was when I asked a pastor, why should I believe in God? And they said, because. And that just sent me down the path of like, okay, so all of it's bullshit. And it's kind of been, you know, the same thing ever since. And so, you know, that theism is kind of more my specialty of like, you know, actually getting to the root of it, like the root of why people think what they think.
Well, and see, just real quick, I'll say this is why I'm so hesitant to debate religion, because to me, I personally became atheist for about 10 years because people that claimed to be speaking the true religion were horrible. And so I don't want to do that. I don't want to speak definitively on a topic like religion that I'm wrong on. If I say, here's why Amy Coney Barrett will be a good justice or not, and I'm wrong, okay. But if I sit here and confidently tell you how to save your eternal soul, and I'm wrong and I'm proven to be a fool, I could really cause some damage. Right? That's a different level. So I don't like talking religion because I don't feel I'm in a position. I feel that I am humble and know how little I know. And so I don't really like talking about it because I don't want to steer. I've seen what happened to me when someone that claimed to be speaking with authority on religion was transparently full of shit. So I don't ever want to be in that position. That's why I hesitate to do it.
Well, and that's kind of, you know, like when you hear people and like I don't know. I don't want this to sound mean or anything, but it's like, you know, okay, so here, I'll kind of say this. So like, I was actually like a Destiny fan at one point.
Ew.
And then I seen him. Well, this was before I don't know. You did that like super cut, if I remember correctly, Rob. You did like a super cut of like Destiny, like back in the day saying like outrageous fucking wild shit, which is stuff that I never heard. I thought, okay, he's kind of more of a moderate liberal, or at least maybe he was at one point, and then whatever broke. But then when I seen his debate with Andrew Wilson, it was like, oh, that guy's making way more sense than this guy. Fuck that guy. And so, you know, and then it's kind of shifted, and then, you know, kind of found you, and it's almost and because I think you and him, and I don't want this to be like an Andrew Wilson fucking thing, you know, but like, it always seems like people are like, well, you're not him. It's like, you're always like, even though like with your debate with like Sirkar, like how, I don't know how you made something that seemed like kind of a normal position, but you made it sound outrageous. And then it was outrageous. And it was 9 hours of, what the fuck am I listening to? Like, that in itself is such a fucking skill to something that seems benign, just a benign statement. You go, well, what do you mean about that? And then you really hammer in on that. And like, watching that is that's watching a Michelin star chef than a fucking line cook. You know, like, how the fuck did you do, like...
It's very weird. Like, for me, I don't know how to explain it. Even in policy debate, like what I did in college, I was so different than everyone else, like so completely different. The story I tell is you get prep time in between each speech, 10 minutes for the whole round. Now, the way the debate's set up, there's usual times when you're using that prep time. For example, there's teams of two. Each speaker speaks twice. So there's the affirmative and the negative. So the order goes first affirmative constructive speech, then a 3-minute cross-ex. First negative construction, 3-minute cross-ex. Second affirmative constructive, 3-minute cross-ex. Second negative construction, then it 3-minute cross-ex. Then it flips. First negative rebuttal, and there's no longer cross-ex. So each team gets to speak. Generally speaking, in your first speech for each side, you're using no prep time. You know exactly what you're going to say. You have in debate, in policy debate, your first affirmative speaker, it's just a speech that you already have written out. Here's my case, my opening statement, right? It's already written out. Same with the negative, basically, because you have it, unless the affirmative is breaking a new plan, you know what their plan is, you know what they're going to say, so you have it written out, right? So you're usually taking prep time then in those middle speeches. You're taking a little time to get your speech together. I would just stare, or I would doodle on my paper. And like my coach and my partner would be like, what the fuck do you do? Like, what are you doing? Everyone else is diligently writing down what they're going to say. And I'd just be like, and they'd be like, what are you doing? Like, you meditating? You thinking? I was like, no, I don't really think about anything. And they're like, how? And I just like, I don't know. Like, sometimes I'd think of 2 or 3 things, but I don't know how to explain it other than it's just, for me, it was more of a feeling. Like, I would honestly sometimes stand up and have no idea what I was going to say until my mouth started moving. And then it was like, oh, it sort of fits. It's working. And
you're so effective. Like, that's what it was, like I said, I just, watching that, like, it's such a honing in on just one thing. And then it expands. Or even like I saw that last one with that Casey person. It was like, okay, it's kind of a weird little benign, but then you like found this like little crack and you're like, hold on. I'm going to dig into that crack. And now it's like, oh, no, their whole worldview has like completely fallen apart because you found this one little crack. And like, I don't know, to me, that's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I guess the only way I can explain it, the way I prep for a debate is this. And the no prep debate's actually funny because I've told people before I did that it's almost in real time. Now, I recommend that if you know a topic's coming up, you prep for it. It makes sense, right? But basically, here's what I do. The first thing I say when I hear the topic is, why am I debating this? With the no prep debate, I have a pretty good idea why I'm doing it. I know what the show's about, what I'm trying to accomplish with the show. Then the next thing I ask myself is, what is the central argument that I want to go for at the end of this debate? So the last thing that I'm telling the audience, what do I want it to be? And it's usually 2 or 3 things. These are the big points that I want you to focus on that I won, right? And then I say, okay, in order to get there, how will the back and forth of the debate need to look, right? To get to the closing statement I want, what does that need to look like, right? And then once I have that envisioned, I say, then what should my opening statement be to get to that place that I'm comfortable, right? Now, I usually do that in a span of like 10 seconds. That's like, okay, here's the idea I have. What's the opening statement? So I don't have my notebook in front of me because my wife was up here doing taxes with me and she screwed up my notebook. But I would show you, like, what I write down is like, as soon as I hear the topic and who my opponent is, I immediately, like, 3 arguments, think of 3 arguments, think of 3 real quick, and then write them down. So like the porn thing, right? Like the first thing that comes to mind is like, is porn good for society? The first thing I need to make is, it has nothing to do with legality. It has to do with on its own, is it good? Right? That's the first argument I need to win, because I know that my opponent's going to say we shouldn't make it illegal. But can I say that it's bad for society and still say that it shouldn't be made illegal? Yes, I can't say that. I have to win that argument. That's number one. Second, I want to make the argument that it's like bad for the people that create porn. Right? Okay, I can make that argument. Third, I want to make the argument that it's bad for people's mental, physical health and for children. Okay, that's it. Now, I'm writing down what my opponent's saying in the opening statement, but most of that's defense. What is the defensive positions going to be against the offense that they're saying? But I have my 3 offensive positions that I need to win. My framework argument, I don't have to argue that it's illegal. My 2 offensive positions. And so I'm running it back from there. And what I need to do then is, and if you're a good debater, what you want to do is don't leave the debate get so far afield that you're unable to bring it back to those things you want. Because oftentimes what happens is people will focus on a meta argument for so long that's sort of not really germane to the ultimate conclusion. And
Yeah.
so you have to skillfully not be a dick, interrupting, refusing to talk about what your opponent wants to talk about, but also be making the arguments in a way that it's bringing it back to your central point. And it's something that style of debate, that's very useful in like real world and in politics. So there was this guy that I was advising that was running for governor in Pennsylvania. And I talked to him on the phone for 2 hours for debate prep for this particular debate he was having. This style of debate, there was like 12 candidates on stage. And so what I told him, I was like, one issue, think of one issue. And his issue was, he was a big fracking guy. Fracking in Pennsylvania was his issue, and no income tax. So energy, no income tax. Energy, no. I was like, every fucking question they ask you, every question, your answer needs to entail energy, no income tax. Every single one. Because there are 12 people on stage and it's a 2-hour debate. You may at best get 7 minutes of talking time. You want the audience walking away going, I remember that guy. Energy, no income tax. Energy, no income tax. You have to be, they have to walk away going, I know that argument. I know what they're thinking. And so I was like, let's do a test run. What do you think about the fact that, Governor Shapiro, or at that point, Governor Tom Wolf, stuck up for Black Lives Matter and a rash of what people were calling violent interactions with police with people of color? I'm like, what's your answer? And he gave a decent answer. And I was like, you know what that answer didn't talk about? Energy, infrastructure, or no income tax. I was like, here's the answer. Of course, I think there's been a demonization of law enforcement, most of which are great people. However, it's certainly true. There are bad apples, and there have been terrible interactions with police and people of color, and we absolutely need transparency to hold those accountable so that we can have faith of all Pennsylvanians. We'll see less crime as a result of the energy policies that I have that will predominantly benefit people that haven't gone to high academia, such as people in inner city Philly and Pittsburgh. And with our no income tax, those people will be able to build families that will ensure that there are less interactions with police as we see going forward. See the difference? 1 minute answer. And it's like, I'm like, that's the sort of, so if you adapt that mindset and you're then in the porn debate, right, we're talking about whether or not there should be age verification. Right? That goes right in line with, I want to talk about this is bad for children. So I'm able to couch the answers that I have on that position to how to take it back to the issue I want. What you don't do is, fuck this, it isn't important, I want to talk about my issue. You find a way to legitimately address the concerns that they're saying while steering it back to the issues that you think are most important. And I fuck this up at times too. So Destiny calls in the other day. Obviously, it wasn't me arguing. It was Ryan Mullally that was arguing with him, right? But for me, the argument with Destiny is this. I don't really give a fuck what your opinion is on one particular court case. That's irrelevant to me. It's a red herring to the fact that you want to pack the courts. So sure, I'll sit here and argue whether or not I think the Calais decision was good or not, and I think I have a good defense of why it was a good decision. But understand that the framing of this is, you're using this as an excuse to pack the court. Period. Understand that. And that to me, keeping that central theme. And for me, the simpler the better. Because you have to understand that most of the time your audience isn't Andrew Wilson. Your audience isn't Jay Dyer. Your audience isn't Pisco. It's not David Packman. Your audience is just general folks like me and you that lean left wing, lean right wing. That's the most people that you're trying to reach. And so you want to make the argument. You're only as good as being able to explain your concept and your argument to who your audience is. And if you're talking at such a high level that the audience can't understand, then you're not doing yourself any benefit. But if you're talking so low level they can't understand, that's not good either. So that's my fundamental, I think even in college debate, what I was good at was I was very good at distilling the concepts to some dumb fucking redneck like me, because I am a dumb fucking redneck. And so it's easy for me to put it in words that I had an ability to understand, what these difficult, these people way smarter than me were talking about, but I dumb it down. And what I found is a lot of the time, because of what we talked about earlier, the idea of practical application versus a philosophical application, because a lot of times those people that are maybe have a higher IQ than me and a way better SAT score, and this fucking lefty from Harvard sitting here waxing on about philosophical concepts of the law and shit, when I dumb it down to but what the fuck's that mean for my neighbor that's a farmer? They don't have an answer. They're just sort of one smarter than him. Yeah. Well, see how far that gets you. And that's, I think, where my strong suit was, that I was always able to sort of take these concepts and distill it down in an honest way to be like, look, this is what's happening. This is what they're talking about.
I like that. I remember the first time that I ever debated was against Avarice, and with his acceleration, abortion, heaven maxing thing. Like literally, I couldn't even believe the words that were coming out of his mouth. And my emotions just took charge. And I'm like, you are insane. And I couldn't even think of what the topic was anymore. I'm just like, this guy is nuts.
Yeah,
So-
well, that's Avarice.
Love you.
Yeah,
Avarice.
you know, so that's something. Understand that policy debate is I'm sorry, Rob5270. Thanks for the raid, Andrew and Crucible. I do appreciate it. I'm talking to my friends from We're Offended, You're Offended. Link in the channel. So they're on Rumble. Go check them out. Yeah, I mean,
I was a lot more Caucasian, but it's just I'm literally in the middle of nowhere, Manitoba, so it was daylight at one point.
When I'm being interviewed or doing a debate, I rarely read the chat. So apologies for missing that, Andrew. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. In policy debate, it's a game. It really is. It's no different than chess or playing football in the sense that it's a game. And it was one of the things I loved about it. In fact, it's useful to be able to debate the other side of an issue. So you should this is one of the things that always happened in college debate. And that's how I did. They'd make these theoretical arguments, and they would say the way you're debating is bad, or your interpretation of what debate should be is bad because it would justify racist affirmatives. And I'd say, so? If I want to stand in and say my plan, you know, if the topic is I have to argue a plan that would reduce the population of the world by, 5 million people, and so my answer was nuke Africa because I think they're worthless people, I should be allowed to do that. It's a game. It'd be no different if I'm playing the game Civilization and I attack Africa, or Risk, right? It's a fucking game. And if I choose a, quote, racist bad argument, and keep in mind, debate's the left of the lefty, then guess what'll happen? I'll lose. Because it'll be a harder argument to defend in front of these lefty judges. And I have to debate in front of these lefty judges. So I found that incredibly appealing. That it didn't matter if I was arguing something I believed. I could argue whatever the fuck I wanted to win this game. And so because of that, it was hilarious how you would get like these fucking, the simplest way I could distill it is the three parts of an argument. This is way oversimplifying, but you have uniqueness, link, and impact. Uniqueness would be the way things are. Link is how the plan changes that, and impact is ultimately why that's bad or good, right? So uniqueness might say the economy is good right now. The link would be your plan crushes the economy, and the impact would be that causes us to go to war, right? That's a simple structure of an argument.
And that was one thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, finish your point. Sorry.
The truth is, there's another part of it called an internal link. An internal link's just between the link and the impact, right? Well, the truth
Blowing
is
someone up stops them from living.
Well, it'd be like uniqueness, economy, good. Link, your plan hurts it. Then next, that causes Jeb Bush to be elected. And then that causes Republicans to win in Congress. And that causes us invading China. Those are internal links, and then the impact's invading China, right?
Okay.
The truth is, an impact is never an impact. It's always theoretically an internal link, right? So I could say invading China is good. That's a good thing. Well, why is it good? Because they're commie fucks, and we should blow them all up. And then your response to that might be like, I agree they're commie fucks, and they should all die, but if we invade them, they'd win, and they'll get more power. And I would say, but that's good if they win. Because if they win, then what will happen is they'll get complacent. And 20 years from now, we can wipe them out. Right? And you'd say, but that's bad. Because if we wipe them out, they would actually have like a dead hand switch and they would blow up the entire world. And I'd say, but that's good because humans are shit. And so the world should be blown up. And you'd say, but that's bad because humans are shit. And blowing everyone up would be a simple end to it. But really, they should have to live in this torturous world forever. Do you see how you could just keep making more and more ridiculous arguments? And so to speak what you're saying, Kim, what would end up happening is these teams, a lot of times when you're entering into debate, these teams would make these like on their face absurd arguments, but you wouldn't know how to respond. What do you mean humans are evil, so we should all die? That's fucking crazy. My mom's a good lady. Why would I want her to die in nuclear war? Right?
Why are we killing unborn babies?
Yeah. So it is something that it is a skill to learn, like how to push back on like the intentional absurd argument. right? So, for our friend Avarice, it's making the argument, well, isn't it true? And by the way, there's utility in arguing this sort of stuff, right? Because what happens is if you get into like a hyper like microscopic view into a part of a debate and you do that over and over and over and you do those links, all of a sudden you can make someone believe some absurd position, right?
Yeah.
So for example, you could be like, well, don't you agree that babies in the womb that pass away go to heaven? Sure. Right? And isn't it a chance if they're born that they can end up going into hell? Yeah. And don't you think that we should advocate for policies that put as many people into heaven as possible? Sure, that sounds good. Okay, then let's create a machine that intentionally impregnates women and then murders them in the womb so they all go to heaven. And you're like, wait, that on its own. Didn't you agree with step A and step B and step C? Right? And so it's like a syllogism, and you're like agreeing. I agree with premise A. Mm-hmm. I agree with premise B. I agree with premise D. And what you're not realizing is there's shit in there that you actually don't agree with, but it's hard to articulate it. Right? And so when the conclusion comes based on all the premises, you're like, well, that sounds fucked up. There's something about that sounds fucked up. And so it's difficult to sometimes go back and say, well, where did this go awry? And by the way, this is what people like Destiny do in a debate. What they'll do is they'll look at some microscopic issue that's not really important to the greater context of the debate. And they'll hyper-focus on that. And they'll be like, well, what about this? Here's some little perceived victory I get. I'll give you an example just for me with Destiny this week, right? Destiny's online bitching on X about getting blown out and rage quitting against Ryan Mullally, right? So what he does is he's like, well, fuck all the, all the haters, whatever. Ryan clearly didn't read the case. He doesn't know the case. Now, of course, the humorous part of this is Ryan wasn't prepping for this debate. It was Destiny that claimed that these court cases were things he was really focused on. He called in to talk about that. So it'd be the equivalent if I'm like, if Tyler's like, I read this comic book, right? I read the Killing Joke, Batman. There, okay. And I'm like, all right, have it. And he calls to my shows like, I want to debate about this. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know that comic, but sure, let's go, right? And then like Tyler then ends up making the argument to me like, you haven't even fucking read this. It's like, no shit, right? It's you. But if you didn't read it, Tyler, then that's a really bad look because you're the one who picked it and you came in. By the way, I see this in the no prep debate all the time. I don't know the fucking topic. My opponent's prepped for it for a month. And they'll come in and I'll be like, how do I have a greater understanding of this than you? You had all month to prepare. Crazy. Anyways, so what happens here is Destiny should know these cases that he's arguing about. And he's getting pissy because Ryan can't verbatim quote a couple things from them. Meanwhile, the entire debate, there are key things from the cases that Destiny has no fucking clue about. So I just point that out today. I'm like, Destiny, if you're going to accuse Ryan for not being able to pull up this verbatim quote of not having read the case, what does that say about you who missed this entire section in the Calais case about the 2019 RUCO decision? It's so much so that it said at the beginning of Alito's brief. And you want to know what Destiny's response to me was? It wasn't Alito's brief, it was the syllabus, not Alito's brief. So, haha. And his whole audience is like, oh, like that meme. They're just like, yeah, fucking.
But you left out all the meat and potatoes before, where it's like, oh, you were like completely
right. That has nothing to. One, I didn't claim to have read the fucking case. Second, what's the big distinction? So I fucked up that it was from the syllabus as opposed to the brief. Okay, it's not really that big of a deal. It's also said in the brief. Third, even if I'm a big piece of shit asshole, let's concede it for a moment for whatever reason because I looked this up or whatever. How does that address you not knowing it at all? But it doesn't matter because what it is he's getting blown out the whole debate, and then he confidently asserts one little area that he thinks he's doing well on, rage quits and goes, boom, that's all that matters. And his audience, like parrots, are going to be like, that perception makes them think like, oh yeah, he just had this crushing win. But it's nothing. When you step back and you look at it, like try to be objective and be like, but what does that have shit to do with anything? Okay, Rob didn't claim this was a case he knew. He's just saying, Destiny, if you read this case, how did you miss this? And your response is, that wasn't the brief, it was the syllabus. Okay, but it's also in the brief, and again, you failed to address. That's it. Yeah, you got me. I said it was the brief instead of the syllabus. That's the sort of shit that happens. And the truth is, if you're an effective enough rhetorician, you'll always be able to find something little that your opponent doesn't get quite right or whatever. And so you just learn to hyper-focus on that. Oh, okay, that's the only issue that matters. There, fuck you, you're an idiot. Ha ha ha. I got a big audience and they're going to say that you're a fat fuck and ha ha ha. And when it's like,
oh
fuck,
no,
he is right. I am
no,
a
no.
fat fuck. Like, oh, you got me there. But that's
No,
sort
no.
of the tactic, you know.
Mhm.
You know, it's funny.
Well-
Sorry, it's like. Go ahead, babe.
Well, I was gonna say, considering I know I think you said 10 o'clock that you already had other stuff lined up. So I didn't.
Nah, we can go as long as you want. I'm not worried about it. I ended the other stream, so.
Oh well,
Love
now I
ya.
kind of feel like a dick. So.
Well, you don't have to. I got rated by Andrew, so I have like 800 people watching, so it wouldn't make sense to end this stream. Pretty simple calculation, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Wowza. Hello, Rob.
But no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Well, no, because I was just gonna say, like, other things. If we could wrap up, and I know, like, you have other things to do and everything else, and I'm sure you can see me so well, which is actually infuriating me.
I hope you're clothed. That's all I'll say.
Yes,
You
he'd
know
be
what,
glowing a little bit more if he
Okay.
wasn't clothed.
I'm
He'd
a
white.
hairy man, so I don't know. You'll never really know.
You're also very white, even though you're not fully white.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
I know it's.
Don't
weird.
worry.
Racist.
Our lives matter. It's true,
I'm
they
darker
do,
than you
yeah.
are, and I'm white as fuck.
See if I move up to the front, maybe it'll be a little bit better.
Maybe.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, I can already
What's
tell this is
happening?
gonna be better. That's so much better. So much better.
Yeah, it's still day. Like, no joke, I'm in the middle of butt fuck nowhere.
Mm,
There
So-
you go. Why didn't
You
do this
trucker?
earlier? Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I did not know that. Good.
Saving
Truckers
the
are
world
awesome.
one truckload at a time.
Fuck yeah. My father-in-law's a truck driver. He does oversized loads. And my wife used to be the escort car out in front. And I've driven escort a couple times, so love the truckers, yeah.
An escort or escort? I'm just kidding.
Escort driver.
Between jobs, we get
Yes,
it. It
that's
happens,
right,
you know.
Yeah.
I
You gotta
have a
make ends
very-
meet. I get it.
So odd, strange, way off the topic question. Does your wife look anything like me? Because that would be funny AF, considering you look like my husband.
My wife maybe somewhat looks like you.
So
She's, you know, I hesitate to be quite honest. Like, my wife will join the chat and the stream and stuff. I kind of, it's fucked up that we live in this world, in this space where it's like, she doesn't want an online space, and I don't want my kid on an online space because of how fucked up people are. So
That's
it's sort of
fair.
like she hasn't come on a lot, but no, she's great. And I'm really lucky that she fucking supports, you know, what I do. I think I'm incredibly lucky. And she's just amazing. She did go down to DebateCon last year, so a lot of people met her down there. But yeah, it's fucked up that you can't. I look at, like, you know, I don't know if you all have ran into this, but I look at, like, you know, Andrew with Rachel, and like, I get it. Rachel's out there, and she don't need someone to fucking be her white knight or anything like that. She does a great job debating. But look at how they weaponize their children and like tragedies that'll happen. It's fucking.
That made
so
me
it's like,
so mad.
it's very much like I was always this, you know, coming from collegiate debate, to sort of take it back to that a little. I was always in the mode of like, hey, fuck you, your argument's dog shit, but hey, well, who gives a fuck, right? We're just arguing, no big deal,
Mhm.
right? And so it really was like eye-opening to me to see, like, I think even back then, I didn't realize how many of those people would be like, fuck you, I hope you die, you right-wing piece of shit. Because I wasn't looking at them that way. I was like, oh, you're probably a good person who just disagrees with me. Now I question it. And when you see these people online, that it's like, you know, the shit they'll say, they're not just trying to win an argument. They get embarrassed, they lose the argument, and then they're like, you know, they're like, we're gonna fucking attack you, we're gonna attack your family, we're gonna try to get you fired, we're gonna fucking dox you, we're gonna SWAT you. And if all of that doesn't work, well, then we'll do like we did to Charlie. You know, and it's like, it's so fucking insane to me, because for me, it's like,
1000%.
I would never, even like fucking Destiny, I never said shit about his relationship. He broke up with his wife, I didn't say shit. There's rumors about his son not getting along with them. All I said was, I feel bad for any parent that has like a strained relationship with their kid. I hope they work it out. That's it.
Yeah.
And to Destiny's credit, he's never said shit about me and my family. But I mean, I had people that I thought were like just affably disagreeing with me. Like, there's this guy, Dylan Burns. He had a producer, I forget the fuckface's name now, but he had two producers, and one of them, in 2020, in December 2020, my wife was 9 months pregnant, and we both got COVID, my wife and me. And this guy was basically like, good, like implying not just me, which I don't give a fuck you, but my pregnant wife. And he's like, haha, good, she deserves it. And I was like, why? Why the fuck would you say that? And back then, I knew COVID was way overblown, but they didn't really know what was going on with our kid if a pregnant lady got a case of COVID like that. And, that sort of opened my eyes. And, Andrew used to tell me this. Andrew would be like, these motherfuckers, they talk about you behind the scenes. They're trying to blacklist you. They don't want you to do well. Because I'd be like, hey, Dylan Burns, Prime K's, Wick, I wish them well. I hope their channels do well. He's like, no, that's not what they think of you. They want you fucking buried, like proverbially buried your channel. They want your channel fucking done. And so because of that, me and my family have made a decision where it's like, they stay off cam as much as possible because these fucking lunatics out there, I mean, for fuck's sakes, I'm being sued for $150,000 at a minimum for fucking nothing. In a lawsuit that publicly put my address out there. And it's like, that's the stakes we're at now, where it's just how fucking insane this shit is. So, I mean, I think my wife's amazing and beautiful, but it's not like she's some fucking troll that I'm hiding, in the basement or something.
Don't think so.
She better not go out of the fucking basement. But, it's just like, it's so fucking weird. She doesn't really want to talk on stream, and
which is totally fine. There's not a lot of people who, when their husbands are streamers, that the wives are out there. Like even Speakeasy, like his wife isn't out there, Alicia.
Right. She's in the chat, which I see. But yeah.
But you don't see her out there. And
she's not really debating. She's just like, thanks for the donation. Click the link at the top. Shit like that.
Amazing human being.
Yeah.
But like with Tyler and I, we both started this through COVID. And it was the funny thing is, to bring it like way back to the beginning, I never used to vote. I was just like, meh, whatever. I don't give a shit. But then once I got kids and a family, that whole thing changed because I seen the things that are happening in the schools and stuff like that. I'm like, this needs to stop. And then I started paying attention. And especially through COVID with the Freedom Convoy, how I seen people twisting things. I'm like, this is not okay. Like, how have I not noticed this stuff before? And that's when I got more into politics. And Tyler and I started doing what we're doing. And we did it together. But the thing is that that's not a normal thing. Like normally it's one or the other doing it. It's not both doing it. So that's not a bad thing. And the thing is, like when it comes to our kids, like we've always kept our kids off of social media and we've kept them far away. We don't mention their names. We don't mention anything, like, because that's not anybody's business. It's sad enough that the things that we talk about, we've had to contact our local RCMP and be like, hey, so we do this and this might happen. So please don't kill our dogs.
Yeah, well, my wife's dad's a cop, and so we've had to contact them and have the same conversation. Yeah, I mean, taking it back to the beginning, the fucked up thing is like that the entire story there, like you didn't really care. There's nothing wrong with that, and like I can't stress this enough. One of the greatest battles we face, and it's difficult, and I don't have the answer. How do you convince people that just are happy people, that family people that want to go to church, that want to just go to their job, that want to enjoy their life, that are happy? How do you convince them these motherfuckers against you hate life and they fucking hate you? And one of the reasons they hate you is because you're happy. And they're working 24/7 to make you miserable. They want to control every fucking area of your life. They want your kids to fucking hate you. They want you to be ashamed of your religion. They want you to be ashamed of your forefathers. They want you to be ashamed of your race. They want you to be ashamed of your sex, your biological sex. Right? They fucking hate you. And like, yeah. I heard that message and I sort of understood it, but not really. Because part of me was like, well, yeah, but not really. It's not that. Yeah, it is that.
Yeah,
it's that
really
bad. But you also don't become such a fucking lunatic that you join them in becoming a miserable piece of shit that can't enjoy time with your wife or your family and can't enjoy your time at church and can't enjoy your time in the community. So it's a fine line. Our opponents, they have a lot of advantages that are also their greatest weakness. They are not held by an ethical standard. They think might makes right always, and they're not held by a duty that they have duties to make this world a better place. They're not held to any of that. They could fucking straight up lie. They could fucking abuse you. They have a set of rules that they think because they feel morally superior to you, it doesn't apply to them. They don't have to worry about being logically consistent. It doesn't matter. It's all about power. We do. We have to worry about that stuff because it's who we are. It's in our nature. We are concerned about the future. We are concerned about our families. We aren't miserable sacks of shit that just have infinite time to sit around and plot the demise of our enemies. That's not who we are, and it's not in our nature, even if we did have the time. So it's hard. I say all the time, our greatest strengths are our greatest weaknesses. That we actually care, that we're caring people. And it to learn to try to be like, how do we walk that fine line where we have to harden our heart to some extent and be like, go fuck yourself? No, I'm not going to, like, the easiest example in the world are Christians that have Christianity weaponized against them. Oh, turn the other cheek. Oh, the real Christian thing to do is to not get involved in politics. The real Christian thing to do is just to give the left all the plans that they want and policies they want. No, fuck all that. But it also doesn't mean that you have to become a miserable sack of shit that, that can't enjoy life,
Well, how do you convince the other side that having differing opinions is not a bad thing? It's okay. You don't have to wish my death upon me because I don't believe in what you say. It's actually differing opinions that grow things in the world and make things move.
No, the difference now is, like, the left and right used to agree that, like, should taxes go up or 2% or 1%? Should the funding be going to schools or should it be going to, like, I don't know, infrastructure or something? Like, it was minor things like that. Now the mainstream, and this is what we see within Canada, wildly popular. Your talk of like foundationally, this nation is, it has blood libel. Yep. Well, that is very much a mainstream liberal position today, that Canada is founded. Evil colonizers came here, oppressed the natives, and destroyed the way of life, and all this other type of stuff. And so, to them, it is the argument isn't tax, isn't a tax percentage. It's, we're coming for your kids. We're coming to extremize. Extremize? I don't know. Fuck. Sure, I'm going with that word.
Fight back.
We're going after your kids. We're going after you. We're not just going after your paycheck. We're going after you, and that's fundamentally different. Like, my politics haven't changed. Theirs just went, what the fuck? It was always leave the kids alone. And they went.
Yeah,
no,
I mean, the different. Yeah. That's, I used to think like, well, we all want the same thing, right? We want a society where our children are safe, where there's abundance, where there's not homeless people, where crimes is, not utopia. I'm not an idiot, but we just have different opinions. So the free market capitalist and the socialist, they just have vast disagreements on how to get to that. And then I started to realize, like, the things that I would put as my goal for a society are completely different than what these people want. These people look at, like, for me, I think we're all tribal, right? All of us. And it's perfectly fine. You'll never hear me shit on the idea of black people coming together to advocate for black issues at all. I think that totally makes sense to me. It's something that you should do. Just like you should have white people doing that. Just like you should have Christians doing that. We're all tribal by nature, and there is nothing wrong with tribalism. There can be things wrong with it if you take it to the extent that you're like, I'm literally using lethal violence against anyone outside my tribe. I don't recommend that. But the idea of having a group of people that you share commonalities with, that you have an affinity with, that you're advocating for, totally makes sense. We all do it with our families. You guys seem really nice. I give a shit about my wife and son more than I give a shit about you guys. And I would expect you to do the same with your family.
So,
there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly natural. And extensionally, I care about my community and my little town more than I care about Toronto. It's just true. And so it goes out for there. So there's a lot of people that advocate for, like, Christian issues. And I think that's amazing. For me, the affinity that I had was rural America. That was the group that I looked at and I was like, this is where I grew up. These are the people that I respected the most. And I feel like they get shit on by every institution. So I was like, oh, I'm going to advocate for the issues of them. And what I found is that the left fucking hates us. They want us dead. Like, and when I say that, I don't mean that they're specifically advocating and killing us, though they would if it came to that, if they thought it would mean them losing power. They want us to die out without power. They're waiting. They're waiting until people like us no longer exist. Their goal isn't, oh, I want your family also to have a home and have abundance. They're like, fuck you. We want you shamed. We want you groveling to us. We want you to cease to have any political or cultural power. How can I fucking share a country with that? How can I be like, well, let's
Yeah.
compromise? How about you guys get to control half of my life? I can't do it. And so for me, the message that I'll be focused on going forward in these midterms is the left is now making it a mainstream position that they want to stack the courts because their real interest is perpetual power. I used to say, I'll sum it up this way. When there was talk of Elon Musk buying Twitter, right? I would have these debates before them with all the mass censorship on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, of all these conservative voices. And I would have these debates with people, and they would push back and this, that, and the other, etc. This is something that I was shocked to see. I would say something like this. The left controls like 95% of the mechanisms that control our public discourse. They control the mainstream media. They control social media, right? They control all of these platforms, and they wield that control, 95% of them, and that's not right. And you want to know what the funny thing is? The left would look at me and go, we agree. That's not right. That's not fair. We deserve 100%.
Yep.
That's their fucking argument. That's the argument. They look at a system where they have all of these institutional advantages and say, it's not enough. It's not enough. That's why you'll hear them saying things like this on like mainstream media platforms. They'll say, we can't normalize Donald Trump. We shouldn't even hold the debate with them. We shouldn't even have it. To even have a conversation with him is normalizing it. Because what they're really saying is, we will not be satisfied until we have 100% control. And it works like this in every fucking cultural Marxist fucking label that they put on. Every group. For example, it won't. I saw on X, someone said this the other day. Did you know that in the United States, at least, with undergraduate degrees now, it's like 62% go to women, right? Yeah. And this guy's a professor, and he's like, I remember, like we were at a graduation at my college, and they announced that 62% of the degrees were going to women, and the crowd cheered like crazy. He's like, I've never heard people cheer for inequality like that in my life. Right? And that's the truth. It's like, there is no, like, the idea of equity, 50-50. No, that doesn't exist. That's just an excuse to cover up for the real agenda, which is fuck men. Fuck them. We won't be happy until there's 0%. Zero. That's what would make us happy. And like,
especially if you're white.
The new study I was reading, law schools, it's like 92% of employees and students of law schools in the United States are left to extreme left. That's not enough for them. They're fighting right now. There are groups fighting like hell saying those are pussy numbers. 92%. It must be 100. And we're sitting back like, I wonder what's on TV tonight. That's how fucking committed they are to this cause. They will never be happy. They will always be miserable little fucks because they don't believe in God, or even if you don't want to go to that direction, they don't believe in anything that's righteous. All they believe in is power. They believe that they are gods. They believe that they're the moral authority, and they'll never fucking be happy. And so they will use the fact that they'll never be happy to perpetually fight to make you more and more miserable. And it will never fucking end. They will take that fight to the grave. They'll be miserable, sad sacks of shit that will destroy these once great countries that were made by great fucking men. And as they stand on those heaps, fucking with cuts all across their arms and their fucking genitals cut off on the estrogen and their fucking blue hair and nose rings, they're still going to be fucking miserable. So that's what we're fighting against, and that's my focus, to point out that now they're nakedly telling you, we demand in the United States to pack the Supreme Court, and we demand to give the legislative power over the court so that we can have power perpetually. And so any footsie with, well, maybe it's now time to vote Democrats, this is over. It's over. The Republicans are a pile of dog shit, and the fucking Democrats are the evil motherfuckers shoving that dog shit in your throat. And so there is no debate as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and
Rob
there has
for
been
president. Jesus.
No, I'm not.
That's why he is the great Rob Noerr. He is the great Rob Noerr. Like, and this is one thing. So, like within Canadian politics that we saw. So I'm sure you saw the clips of Justin Trudeau wearing blackface. Look, he's he blah blah whatever. Well, the right took that hook, line, and sinker. Now you see every right-wing person is going, look, Justin Trudeau, look, he wears blackface more times than he cares to count. And it's like, the dude was wearing a costume for an Arabian Nights play. So the right, in order for their fucking stupid virtue signaling, play to the left's argument.
Yeah, well, love you, Steven Crowder, but I agree. Sure did.
I agree, but sometimes what you have to do is try to hold them to the absurd standard. Like, for example, the left was trying to argue that an 8-year-old kid at a fucking college basketball game of a team whose jerseys were black and painted his face half black and silver was engaged in blackface. They honestly tried to make that argument.
Or the
right?
kid with
This is a true story. I had a friend, this left-wing friend of mine. He's like, a good friend of mine. He's like, pretty left-wing, too. He's vegan, fucking Buddhist. Like, he's like a hippie guy. But he's a good, I like him. Yeah. He calls me when this, like, blackface shit broke, like, I don't know what it was that started it in, like, 2018 or something. And he calls me. He's like, Rob, I think I'm fucked. There's pictures of me in blackface. Now, this dude's left-wing, and he's got a job that would really fucking give a shit if this dude was wearing blackface. And I was like, okay, give me the context. You want to know what his blackface was? He was in high school, he was in a play, right? And I'm like, oh, he dressed up as a black character. No, he was a stagehand. And so they had to wear black pants and a black sweater and paint their face and hand, wear black gloves and paint your face black so they can't see that they're like pulling the rope while Peter Pan flies or whatever. And I'm like, that's not blackface. That's like saying that our commandos on a night raid in like the Navy SEALs, that's blackface, motherfucker. No, but the left doesn't give a fuck. The rules don't apply to. They know they're full of shit. So take blackface out of it for a second. Let me explain like something. This is one of the easiest examples, right? Kids in cages are a human rights abuse. They're a human rights abuse. Kamala Harris said it. Joe Biden said it. They said if we're going to investigate this is disgusting. Kids in cages under Donald Trump. The left ran with this like Coney 2012. It was the biggest fucking issue in the world for like a month, right? Then Biden gets into office, and in short order, we have more than 2 times more kids in cages. Where was AOC crying? Where were they? And they were like, well, fuck them kids. Those are different kids. We don't give a fuck about these kids. And so what I always say is their hypocrisy shows 2 things. One, they never gave a shit about what they claim to. We all get that. But the other reason that you need to remember when they're being hypocrites is they know you do care. In other words, the average person doesn't want to see a kid in a fucking cage. They're not going to be hypocrites about something that doesn't matter. They won't be like, Rob Noerr uses a black pen. Okay? And they're like, but you're using a black pen. That wouldn't make sense. They're only going to do it something that they think that the average person gives a shit. So they virtue signal. And sometimes the best way to attack them is to become even more fucking ridiculous than them. So you're just like, my dream would be, I would love this to happen. I would love to see a bunch of retired NBA players, dudes, like fucking start a women's team and just win every fucking game like 180-10. Just every game. Just fucking crush them. And be like, yeah, man, we won't be happy until biological men win every woman's award in the fucking world. Every actress award, every fucking, anything. From sports to fucking acting
women just
to
fucking
writing.
hand it over. Might as well.
That's it. Yep.
It's funny that you say that, and I'll say this, and we can wrap up, because apparently I got to actually get off this highway at some point. But I have been saying that I think today's feminist movement is a male supremacy movement. I 100%
and in a weird
believe
way, I mean, think of it like it's like for the red pill guys, like your Andrew Tates or so. What a buffet! Feminism's the best thing that ever happened to them. Yeah, like imagine a bunch of dudes sitting around in a bar in like 1960. Like, how do we get laid? I know. Let's convince all the women that marriage is shit and they should all get careers. And don't leave those dirty men tell you can't go out and suck whatever dick you want. That'll teach them.
Can't see that.
And then like these dudes are like, excellent. That sounds like an excellent fucking deal to us. And it is true. So much of feminism is exactly that. Like we've talked. Think of the idea of this. Like. A traditional, by the way, it's why it's one of the funniest fights in the world, is watching like the second to third wave feminists like argue with what I might call like a fourth wave feminist, which is because the feminist argument with all the bullshit they're doing basically boils down to men and women are different and women are better. That's basically third wave feminism, right? And the trans people are like,
women with extra parts is better.
Right. The trans people are like, we agree, and men can be women. Right? And
it's a male supremacy
and the
movement.
feminists are like, wait. No. Men can't be women. Women are better than men. There's a difference, and men can't be women. And they're like, how dare you? We will use every bullshit lefty tactic that you've used against masculine people against you. We will attack your position from more on the left. And that's like ultimately that actually a lot of people don't learn the error of their ways until they face the consequences of their ideology. You know, a good example of this was, there was this fucking shitbird sports reporter here in the States. I'd never heard of him, but I remember this story went viral. And during the George Floyd BLM riots, right, he took to social media and was like, good, blah, 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 blah. Yes. And then the next night, he's like, they're outside our gated community. Where are the police? We've done nothing wrong. And it's like, good. Burn that motherfucker to the ground. Burn that dude's property. Because only then will he go, oh, shit, I've made a mistake. He was perfectly fine when it was everyone else's property being burnt, but as soon as it's him, and this happens over and over and over and over, there is nothing I could say whatsoever that will ever convince these people that are so morally certain of their bullshit principles that it's wrong. Only when they face the consequences. So like with the blackface shit, you know, going back to that, like, yeah, cancel Justin Trudeau, fuck him. But wait a minute, this was benign. I don't give a fuck, I don't make the rules. That's the left's rules. How many other times was blackface? You know who wasn't benign? How about Ted Danson, where he lured the literal blackface? Or Sarah Silverman?
Whiteface.
Or Jimmy Kimmel, right? When they did all of that. You know, I wanted to, for me, when
Can we cancel whiteface?
Well, Drewski did whiteface, right, with Erica Kirk, right? I don't know if you saw that.
I did see it. I was referred to as Drewski, and I didn't know what that was until he told me, and I looked it up after. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. That was funny. I liked it.
I think it's bad taste that people are making fun of Erica Kirk, but also I'm a fan of comedy.
I agree.
So I say go for it. I don't think it's off limits for him to do whiteface. But my wife had to talk me out. I was going to do blackface and shave my beard like Drewski and just do a skit where I'm Diddy's buddy, right? Because as Drewski, yeah, what's up, Diddy? What's up? I'll bring the baby oil. Yeah, I'll bring the dress. Don't worry, Diddy. Right? Diddy's boy, Drewski, right? Wear blackface, make fun of Diddy's boy. Right? Right? That's okay, right? Of course not. And that sometimes that's what it takes.
I think
it's just approaching it from the unreasonable. Like, do I think totally objective, forget the society we live in. Did Bud Light deserve to be canceled because they made a can with Dylan Mulvaney? No. And if nothing else was going on, would I really give a fuck? No. But everything that leads up to that, the forcing the trans shit down our fucking throat in every area and every institution, the cancel culture, if you run afoul one little iota of what the fucking establishment left thinks how you get canceled, right? We told them for years, stop doing this shit, stop it. The only thing that will make them stop is, okay, fuck you. Now we're going to enforce those same policies on you. Now all of a sudden, all these companies that formerly were like, okay, on one hand, we can piss off the right and they'll go, oh. Or we can piss off the left that's going to contact Media Matters and do everything they can to sabotage our brand. We're going to piss off the right. And now the right's like, fuck you, we'll cancel you too. That's why you have people out there like Robbie Starbuck, whose whole fucking career now is just, look what John Deere did. They supported this DI shit. John Deere, we're giving you 2 weeks, right? Or we're going to fucking boycott your company. It works. And it's shit that it had to come to that, because in reality, do I give a fuck? I just want a lawnmower that runs, right? That's the end of the day. But now, I didn't want the culture war. I was forced into it. Now the motherfuckers that started it are like, why is everything the culture war? Acting like they're not the assholes that started it to begin with. They're pissed because we're starting to get inroads and starting to win, and it makes them mad. So
and all I ever said was I just wanted to play video games with my friends and hang out with my kids. And now here I am.
Dude, I remember at the height of the George Floyd, like, you couldn't play, like, you go to, like, website for, like, the official website for, like, Call of Duty, and it was all Black Lives Matter and shit. Like, the local McDonald's, Black Lives Matter. It's like, man, fuck you. Fuck you people so much. By the way, who was right there? All that Black Lives Matter shit. Well, Patrice Cullors or whatever allegedly got millions of dollars, the woman that was, like, partially running it, and were Black Lives made better?
Friends and family.
Yeah. Did we invest in the inner city? What happened?
No, right? You bought her a fucking mansion and her friends and family.
The irony of all of these positions. So consider this. I was considered racist because I was against riots done in the name of Black Lives Matter that were disproportionately occurring in black neighborhoods. So me being against rioting in black neighborhoods made me racist. And I had some local people that told me that. I was like, here, how about this? What if we get some money together and we'll get some of these looters, get a bus, and bring them to your house, white guy, and then they could loot your house. See? Now it's not racist.
100%.
Right? Right? Because I'm so anti-racist, I say, let's help you loot liberal ivory tower white people. How about that? Let's do that. All of a sudden, the white guy calling me racist for being against, that's ridiculous. How could you? Oh, when it's poor fucking Jerome's, little gas station that he owns, black guy in inner city Chicago, fuck him. Burn it to the ground for racial justice. Loot that fucking Nike store that's owned by a black franchisee. But when it comes to you, Mr. White Guy, your house, and you could see these, once you start to see it, it's fucking everywhere. Like, for example, I was a racist because I thought that the U.S. government, in the form of the NIH, funded the Wuhan lab in China to fucking weaponize coronaviruses, and then it escaped. That made me racist against Chinese people. The non-racist position was backwards, retarded Chinese people ate pangolins and bats and didn't wash their hands. That's the non-racist position. And you're like, wait, what? What the fuck are you talking about? But that was the honest-to-God positions that they adapted. And so once you start to see it, you're like, all of a sudden you're like, I don't give a fuck what these people call me. Why would I give a shit? I just don't give a fuck. And so I'll make fun all the time, man. It's fun to watch them squirm. I love fucking accusing them of what they've accused of. It's just great. And I don't even know that it'll change anything. But yeah, man, my friend that, he wore painted his arms and face black while he did the fucking stage. Yeah, you're right, dude. You're racist. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Man.
You better tell your boss. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Tell your boss you wore blackface,
Well, Rob, we will wrap it up here. We'll wrap it up here because this was a ton of fun. I know this was supposed to be an hour, and then all of a sudden it's 2 hours. I'm like, holy shit. Okay.
And I'm still not done.
We could go for a while. We'll
do it again.
This was a total blast.
Yeah.
More than welcome. Open invite. You can bring Avarice along. You don't have to, but you can. I know. Pity invite.
I love Avarice.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Well, hey, thank you all so much for coming. For my audience, I'm going to link their channel again. But yeah, I always appreciate talking to y'all, and I'm glad that I could actually come on your show and do it. And anytime, man, we should do it again next month. So
tell the audience where they can find.
You can find me at Normal America with Rob Noerr on YouTube or Normal America on Rumble. And if you just search the name Rob Noerr or Normal America, you'll be able to find that on basically X, Kick, and Twitch as well. So I usually stream
on X.
Yeah, I beat that.
You got it back?
I got it back from that fucking Nigerian hacker.
That's why I didn't at you. All right.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I did in the comments. So listed in the description box below is his YouTube and his X account. I don't have anything else, so you'll have to listen to him and what he told you to go to.
Yeah, Normal America with Rob Noerr on YouTube. Usually streaming almost every weeknight, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So
love it. It was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, hold on! I know Avarice will be really mad if I don't say that. Playing Disney whip songs. Sorry, I don't want to leave that out.
Yeah, the whip song thing's a terrible shame, but you got to make money somehow, I guess. So
I do a lot for money. So
yeah. Well, hey, thank you all so much, and
it's been a blast, Rob.
I'll probably see you sooner than later over on Speakeasy's channel.
Probably.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you again.
Yep. Anytime.
And thank you, Avarice, for putting this together.
See you guys.
All right. And to everybody else who has been sitting around with us, thank you, everybody, for taking the time of your day to come sit with us and listen to the craziest going on in the world today. Thank you, Tyler, for taking the time to pull over because your work sucks and to have this interview with Rob Noerr, your doppelganger from the States. So I appreciate everybody. And you can catch us in all the places listed in the description box below, along with, like I said, there's a couple links for Rob Noerr listed in the description box below as well. Otherwise, we're live every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Time, and every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time. So have a good rest of your day. We will catch you guys again on Saturday. Be kind to one another. We out. Oh, I can't end.